Hey everyone, it's Yuso Delmar. So, first things first, I want to apologize for the shakiness of the camera. I'm using my phone at the moment, so yeah. But today I want to introduce you to Pathfinder. As you can see, it's an adventure card game. Um, there is an actual Pathfinder's game where it's a lot like D&D, where you make your own adventures and your own scenarios and stuff like that. But this is more of a game towards people that don't have the time or willingness to get into a game in depth as Dungeons and Dragons and Pathfinders. The characters and everything are already made for you. The scenarios and everything are already made for you. There is 6 add-on packs to this game. And this is set 1 of 3, by the way. So each set has a different number of add-on packs, I believe. I'm not sure. This is the first one I've ever had. Now, when you buy the base set, you'll get Adventure Pack 1 and the base set cards. I have all 6 add-on packs and the character add-on pack, which I highly recommend because you get a whole bunch of new characters, of new monsters, and stuff like that. Yeah, so the characters, again, you're not going to get all these if you do buy this. Alright, so right here we have the warrior, or the fighter, the cleric, the sorcerer, the rogue, the barbarian, the druid, the bard, and the monk. Now, there's also the ranger, the paladin, and the wizard, but I have that set up in the game right now. Each character has its own character deck, which is essentially your health. When you run out of health, or run out of cards, you die. You have to start over as a new character. So, these cards, you do not mark. Because if your character dies, you have a marked card, and no one wants a marked card. Especially if a person's just getting into this game, you're not going to want to have everything marked for them, and I don't like damaging cards. I never have. But yeah, that's the characters. Each one, as you can, kind of guess, does something different. There's scenario cards. It kind of tells your story. That holds your adventure paths, all your other stuff. Your adventure paths, your scenarios, your kind of anything that runs along the side of the story. But we have locations here. That's where you'll be playing, depending on the amount of players you have. Monsters, you have barriers, henchmen, villains. You have weapons, you have spells, armor, loot. You have blessings, which count as blessings in this game. You divide this deck into 30, which I've already done. And it counts as kind of a turn counter and a clock. Because in the game you have 30 turns to defeat the scenario and the villain. If you don't do that, you lose. You don't die, but you lose. Here we have allies and items. Now, this is the game. These are the blessing cards. This is the 30 blessing cards. You flip them over to initiate your turn. This is the adventure path. Oh, no, that's the adventure path. That's the adventure. And then this is the scenario. These are the locations. Each location does something different. Like this one. When you're at this location on your first exploration on your first exploration on a turn, if you encounter anything other than a spell after the exploration, you may explore again. Now, the reason why that's good is, well, kind of good, kind of bad, is this place is full of spells. And you have to close a location to defeat the villain. Because when you fight the villain and you beat him, if there's any locations open, it'll jump to a random location. And then you got to do the whole process over again. Now, to close a location, you have to fight a henchman. And the henchmen are all shuffled in these, along with items, barriers, monsters, weapons, armor, etc. It's not really as hard or difficult as it sounds. It's actually fairly easy. But yeah. So, the characters. This is Ezrin. I normally play as him because I like wizards and stuff. But this is his hand. Now, I kind of made the character deck on the fly because I didn't really think I was going to make this video. But I ended up doing it. But on here, this is your character information. He has a card list of 1 weapon, 8 spells, no armor, 3 items, 3 allies, no blessings. Now these, when you start upgrading your card, you can start upgrading these. But that's when these, the rewards right here, it'll say it. Now the other thing is the feats and the powers. These are a good thing to memorize. If you don't memorize it, it's no big deal. You can always look down and look at it. But I always tend to try to memorize it because of this. It kind of stops the game a little. But yeah, his specialty card, or his favorite card, is the spells. And if you don't draw a spell on your hand when you're playing as him, you got to redraw your hand. That goes with every character. If you like this. This is the Ranger. His preferred card is a weapon, as states right there. Now, he has a blessing, an item, a blessing, a blessing. Now, because of this, he has to redraw his entire hand. He has to put it all back in the character deck and then redraw, which I'll do that right now. Alright, so I went and redrew everything. So, first things first, we got an armor, item, blessing. Oh boy. Blessing. So if this card isn't a weapon, then we have to redraw, which it isn't. I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. Now I reshuffled everything and redrew, so this time we're actually going to get a weapon because I went ahead and looked. See, there's your weapon. There's another weapon. An item. Alright? So, what's good about him is if he isn't at another if he's at a say he's at one location, one of these, and your character's at another location, he can recharge a card to add a 1d4 to a combat check at your location. So if you're in a fight that you're having trouble with, he can recharge a card and help you fight. And like this one, if you are proficient with weapons, you may discard this card to add a 1d4. So you can add 2d4 if you use his main ability plus this card. Though you'll have to discard this card and another card. So it's a give and take. I mean, it's good, but it's kind of not good. Alright? So, to initiate your turn, you take from the blessing card, from your clock, and you just put it. Now, this card doesn't do anything. No matter what it says, it doesn't do a thing. Because of the fact that there are items in here like this. Right here. It says you may instead discard this card to explore your location. Each blessing does something different in a sense. They're all kind of the same, but they're all different. Now, You may instead treat this card as if it had the same power as the top card of the Blessings discard pile, which would be this. Alright. Now, when you start your turn, normally you draw to match your hand size, which is on the back of your character card, right there under hand size. Alright? So we all have the 6 cards. So you take your character, and you place it on a location. Now I normally go to the academy with Ezrin because there's a whole bunch of spells. And when he gets a spell, it's a little bit easier because he can acquire them a lot easier than anyone else because he has an intelligence of D12 plus 2 of an arcane trait. So when he explores, and the first thing he does is finds a spell. Now, we grab our D12 because it's a wisdom check. He has he has a D8 of wisdom. Alright, so we get a D8. Nice little D8. I'm rolling with a bad hand. So he gets a 5. He doesn't get it. So it goes back into the box. Any card you do not get in here being an item that helps you, which is a boon, and versus an item that goes against you, which is a bane. So he doesn't get it. So it's another character's turn. So we come back over here, flip it over. Normally it goes clockwise or counterclockwise. So we kind of messed that up, but I'm more doing this as hey, this is how you play the game, so I do apologize about that. So she has a hand size of 4. So because she is normally she's good at fighting, you want to normally send her to somewhere that's good with monsters, but today we're going to have her go to the wooden bridge. So we're going to come over, and the first thing is it's an ally. So if they want to have the ally, all they need to do is a wisdom, survival, intelligence, arcane of 7. Now, if Ezrin would have found it, the intelligence dice for Ezrin is a D12 plus, because of the arcane trait, it would have been a D12 plus 2. Now, she has wisdom divine, but not wisdom survival. So she would have a D8, which is right here, which is a 1. I'm sorry again. Not used to rolling with this hand. So this goes back to the allies. Let me grab these. Alright, so it's not looking good for their first turns. So now it's the ranger. And I normally point it towards that player so they know that they initiated their turn. It's a little bit easier than keeping it one way, because then you don't know if another player has drawn the card or anything. Alright, so he has his cards. He's going to, because he is he's good at survival and dexterity, he is going to go to the wooden bridge also. So they're going to draw, which is a barrier. Now they have to get an intelligence arcane of 10 to dispel this. If it's not defeated, nothing happens to you, so it's not that bad of a barrier. But if you defeat it, you get a 1d4 random spells from the box to your hand. So what is his intelligence? He is not even going to get it in the first place. Now, normally, another player can sacrifice one of their blessings, and you can, like they said on here, you can discard this card to add 1 die to a check. Now, when you add a die, that is the original die they have to use. So he would be using a D6. Now, if he, really wanted this and got rid of this, he would use a 2d6. But he's not. He's just going to let it go away. So it is undefeated, but it's banished. Now, I just want to get to a monster real quick because I don't want this video to be too long, because I know I'm not really good at explaining these things. It's a little bit easier if I'm actually playing the game, which we will be doing shortly. So it is Ezrin's turn, so flip this. Now take this. It's another spell. So it's an intelligence of 4, so there's absolutely no way of losing this because of his D12 plus 2. Oh my, alright, so I spoke too soon. That showed me. Don't ever doubt the dice. The dice are your friends, but they're also your worst enemy. I'm going to skip this ahead real quick. I'm going to draw one of the henchmen. Alright guys, so I went and found the henchman, so it is the paladin's turn. So here's the henchman. Now, before the encounter, recharge a card of your choice from your hand. So we go over here to the paladin. Now she has 2 Blessing of the Gods, but they can help you. Now she's going to get rid of this and recharge it into her deck. Now, recharging means you take a card from your discard pile or your hand, and normally it'll state on the card itself which of the 2 you take, and you put it back in your character deck on the bottom. Now, she fights it, and it has a combat of 8. So her strength would be a D8, but her melee is a D8 plus 2. So that's, yeah. So because we don't have a melee weapon, it's just a D8. So it'd be hand-to-hand combat. So let me swap hands. She got a 3. Now, the thing about this, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the ranger's ability, and I'm going to discard a card, which I'm going to discard the dagger, which goes into his discard pile, which is here, not the deck. And he's going to add a 1d4 to the fight. But he's also going to discard this card to add another 1d4. So it's going to be a 2d4, which is this little triangle. Which is a 2. So that's a 5. Wait, hold it, shit. Yep. So he needs an 8, so I need a 3 or above. Which, I got a 4. So we barely beat it. So that's 9. So this is defeated. Alright, now, its ability is, if defeated, you may immediately attempt to close this location. Now, to close this location, you must succeed at a dexterity or stealth check of 6. So, a dexterity check is a D4, or it said a stealth, so can't do the stealth. So she's going to do a D4, and then she's going to get rid of one of this to do a 2D4. So to the discard pile. So she got a 4. So now she needs a 2 or above, which she got a 2. Alright? So this location is closed. All right. Now, when closing this location, all these cards, now they're gone. You miss out on chance of getting getting new items, new armor, weapons, and such. So, let's look at what we lost. Enchanter, that. We got a zombie, some allies, and a blessing. Nothing too bad, but yeah, we lost them. So those go over there. Now, when permanently closed, you may end your turn here. When you end your turn here, you may bury a card from your hand to a recharge. Card from your discard pile. Now, burying a card... Let's get rid of this. Burying a card is because we got two people here. He hasn't ended his turn, but she is. She is going to have to... she can bury one of these if she wished to get this card back, but she's not going to. But burying a card is taking a card and putting it like this. Now, you can't touch that card for the rest of the game. Once this scenario is done with, you can put it back into your character deck. But that's burying. Alright. Now, I'm going to go ahead and jump ahead and close out these locations and find the villain. Alright, and we're back. So this is the villain. All the other locations are closed, so he is stuck here. Now, like I said, you have to close each and every location, or else when you defeat him, he'll jump to a random location. So now that he's stuck in place, when we beat him this time, it's game over. We win the scenario. So, let's look. Before the encounter, recharge 2 cards of your choice from your hand. So, because Ezrin... let me do this real quick. Because it is Ezrin's turn, he's going to... What did that say? Recharge this. And... That's interesting. He is going to recharge this. So these get recharged into the deck. So now he has 4 cards. So let's add a card here. 1, 2, 3, 5. Alright. So this is how this takes place. He makes him recharge 2 cards, and now he has to do a combat at 10 to defeat him. So because Ezrin doesn't, he's not proficient in weapons, I got rid of his weapon because it would have added a difficulty of +4. So instead of a 10, it would have been a 14 for Ezrin. So we're going to use Force Missile and Wand of Force Missile. Alright, so it would be using, where's the D12? D12, and then it would be a 2D4 and 4D4. So it's D12 plus 6D4. Alright, so 4D4. 2D4 plus D12. So, first things first, we're going to roll a D12. Which is a 4. So we have 6. 6 left. So we have 1 D4. So that's 5 left. Alright, we have 4 left, and that kills him. So he's done. We have won the game. Hooray. Now, because we win, and normally we wouldn't win with this many cards left, you have the option of going through the rest of these cards, but we're not going to. So, that's the game. Now, because we won, each character draws a random item from the box. So we would grab the item deck, and then we would grab 3 item cards, and that would finish it up. Alright, now I do apologize, guys. I do know I'm not really good at explaining things. I'm a lot better at explaining it as we're playing. But since today is my day off and I have nothing else to do because everyone else is at work, I figured I'd make a video. So thanks, guys. I'll get better at this, I promise. Till then, see you later.